Hello, my name is Filthy Saint, and if you guys are feeling a little struggle trying to play this new game, Super People, with your Azeron Cyborg, this video is for you. I'm going to give you a little breakdown and walkthrough on how I've transitioned over to using my Azeron Cyborg with Super People. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown on my keybinds, my sensitivities, on how to bind those both in the Azeron software as well as in game. So we're going to sit down, relax a little bit, guys. Bear with us and let's go through this together. All right, here's my Azeron. Let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. I'm going to show you here on my screen. This is the settings menu inside of Super People. As far as the graphics goes, I'll do a quick little spin through on this, guys. Obviously, I would normally play this in full screen mode, but because for this video's sake, I want to be able to show you guys both my software for Azeron as well as everything in here in game at the same time. So we're playing in windowed. This is how I have everything set up, guys. By no means am I saying these are the best settings possible, but I found the stability on this to be very nice. The gameplay smooth, so this is what I use. Okay, moving on to audio. I just turned off the music. I don't like all the music audio going in the background. Okay, again, a lot of this stuff here is going to be preference, but this is what mine looks like. Now let's get into the good stuff here. When it comes to controls, sensitivity, everything comes default at 50. I'll tell you that seems to be a lot, like, pretty fast for most people. I play on 800 DPI with a Razer Viper Ultimate mouse. At 500 hertz, bump between that and 1000. It just kind of depends. I switch between the two. Free end sensitivity I put down at 45. Driving sensitivity 40. ADS sensitivity, this is like your over the shoulder sensitivity. I have that at 33. Again, I'm still kind of tweaking these just a little bit, guys, but this is what I'm currently using right now. Universal scope. Eventually, I probably will get into the advanced scope settings, which allows you to go in and change everything individually. But for right now, I'm just keeping it simple, and I have that at 34. Again, I'll go back in later and work on that. This is where things are the video, the whole purpose of this video is right here on the key settings tab. This is the hardest thing, I'll tell you guys, being an Azeron user now for going on 2 years. It's very difficult switching to a new game because unlike a keyboard that shows you the letters on each key that you're pressing, the Azeron just has these tabs, right? They just have these tabs here, as you guys can see on my hand. I just have these tabs that I can just press, you know what I'm saying? And I don't have a way to see exactly what tab I'm pressing, especially if you have just a single monitor. Some people I've seen pull their Azeron software and put it on a second monitor. If they have one, that's great, definitely helpful, but still just a second thing you got to pull your eyes off onto. So that's been our biggest struggle, is you can't really see where you're transitioning to right between the two. So what I've done is I've gone through this, and I'll tell you guys, I've played this for a few days now, and I figured out the best way to transition over to this game is to essentially start fresh. And I created this theory on how to be able to use all of the necessary buttons that you would need in the game with not over complicating it. I want to keep this as simple as possible with still being able to utilize all the important key features of the game and everything that's necessary for you to be able to play this game and play it well. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I use my Azeron. We'll go through the actual how to bind the Azeron at the end of the video. I want to first just talk about my concept and theory on how I use the Azeron with this game. Okay, so with association of my mouse. Moving forward, obviously WASD, that's going to be on my thumbstick here. Okay, for my Azeron, that's already set. We'll talk about how I have my thumbstick set at the end. We don't need to worry about walk because the benefit of using the Azeron is we have a stick. We can control the sensitivity of that like a controller. Which eliminates the use of needing to press a button to walk. We can just, push forward just a little bit if we want to, and that'll be more of a walking speed. Okay. Realistically, walking is not super beneficial in this game. Anyways, you're going to want to crouch and walk if you're going to be trying to be quiet. Other than that, normal walking just by holding forward or sprinting is going to be most commonly used. Okay. Which leads me to the next one, which is run. I have that at shift. This is going to be my pinky finger here. So if you're looking on my Azeron software, this is pull back here with my pinky. Okay, this is the first button. With these cyborgs specifically, they have the second row of 4 buttons behind the fingers to lift up and pull back, which I do utilize, and I'll explain those in a second. But I have my first pull back with my pinky as shift here, and that's what I have set in my Azeron software. Don't need to worry about jump only or parkour. I just have everything set to spacebar here, which is pull back in my middle finger, sorry, my ring finger here on my left hand. This is going to be my jump or spacebar. Don't need to worry about separating the two. What I've done, guys, is I've completely unbound all the buttons that are unnecessary to use, and you guys will understand why as you start to play with these settings. Crouch, for me to be able to crouch, I have that set at C, which is my middle finger pull back. Lay prone is going to be middle finger pushing down. So pull back, crouch, push down, lay down. Okay. Lean to the left. This is where things start to get a little bit unique, and I'll explain why. So lean left, I have set as my pinky flicking outward to the left and my pointer finger flicking outward to the right. Okay. Again, another benefit of the Cyborg is that you have these additional fingers on the side with the pinky now, which it kind of allows you to be able to do the lean and right with your hands on the left side. So it makes a lot of sense when you start playing like this, guys, and I hope you do enjoy this. But there's one thing I specifically did in the Azeron software to make this work well, because holding my breath, let me find out where this is. I probably should just use this bar to make this simple for you. Holding my breath, which is right here. You see hold breath is left shift, right? Which makes sense, again, to have that be hold my breath. However, when you're leaning to the left, that would move my pinky away from being able to hold my breath. And so what I did in the Azeron software is I went in to the keybinds, and under keyboard, I held down shift and Q, okay? And then hit accept. That way, when I'm pressing to the left or to lean, it's automatically first pressing shift or hold breath as it's hitting the lean. That way, when I'm sniping, I'm leaning, I'm holding my breath, getting my shot right, and then I can recover, and I don't have to worry about not being able to hold my breath when I peek to the left or to the right. So I think this is a huge game changer for us Azeron users, being able to have that little feature, but that's how I have that set up. But moving back in through this, guys, let me go scroll back up here just a little bit, make sure we've got everything. Okay, we've got lay down. Now you've got the lean left and lean right. We just explained that. F, our main interact button. Let me pull this back up so you can see. F, our main interact, is our pointer finger being able to pull back. That's our main pick stuff up, grab stuff. Okay, that's our main interaction button. And we're going to use this also for our ping system, being able to agree to a ping and so on. So you guys will see this like our main interact button. Change view. This is going to switch you between first person and or third person, depending on how you guys like to play. Some of you just want to play first person. That's fine. I enjoy playing both, but third person can be fun, more casual in my opinion. But this allows me to just press the scroll wheel button, click it in for me to change between third person and first person. Auto run, I have this set with my pinky flicking up. I'll tell you guys, the pinky's one of those fingers that it's a little bit harder for me personally to use. Most specifically the pushing down button. The reason is my pinky's kind of short, and because of that, when I push down, I'll occasionally I'll smash shift or control, which I have set on the higher pinky button. So because of that, it makes pushing down really difficult. I don't want to button jam, so I just eliminated that completely from my Azeron settings, and I don't use it, which you don't need to, and I'll show you guys how you don't need that. But flicking forward, if just flicking all the way up to the top here, not forward, but actually up to the top, if I flick that, that'll be auto run. So if I'm just wanting to chill for a second but not stop moving, I can just flick up with my pinky, continue to auto run. Okay, to sprint, I can just run while I'm doing something if needed. Okay, look around. This is the free look. So when you're running and you want to be able to look over your shoulder to see what's going on in a different direction, but not necessarily slow down by looking over that way, which would slow you down in the game, or necessarily let an enemy know that you're looking at them. This is a kind of a tip, by the way, when it comes to third-person games like this that are BRs specifically. But if I'm holding shift, I can lift up, not F, not pull directly back with my index finger, but lifting up and pulling back, which is shown as number 3 in my software. This is going to allow me to, while holding shift, which is my pinky pullback, I can free look with my mouse, and I can look over my shoulder without changing the direction, right? I can still be holding forward with my thumbstick, the direction I'm going, but I can just hold space, which is making me run, and then press, up, lift up and pull back with my index finger, and that will allow me to be able to freely look over my shoulder. I think this is very beneficial, so that's how I do that. Swimming up and down, you don't do this a lot, guys, but spacebar, it's just going to be the same as what I would be to jump, all right? And then dive would be what I'd be to crouch. Okay, that's how I use that, but you're not in the water a ton. But if you need to be, those are the two: middle finger and ring finger. Fire, this is going to be over on the mouse. Obviously, the left click is going to be my fire. Aim scope, I've separated this because I like to be able to have play more of like I hold down this ADSs because I've always been an FPS gamer. That's what I like to do. So for aim only, I have that. This is the over shoulder aiming. I have that set on my mouse, which is the left button of the mouse, the further one. I have that for over the shoulder aiming, so soft aiming, right? So I hold that down to allow me to soft aim with targets that are closer or whatever. If I'm trying to peek a corner, I can do that. And then if I wanted to actually ADS my gun, then I'm going to hold down my right click. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's how I have that separated. The other function you'll see that I use on my mouse, because there's just one other button other than swapping weapons, which we're about to come over, is the back one. That one I have to swap between different throwables, which I'll show you in a second, okay? Reload is going to be pushing down. If you're looking at my Azeron, this is going to be pushing down with my index finger. I've unbound everything again that's unnecessary, so I unbound these two. Now this is important. I'll tell you guys one thing that's a frustration when you're setting this up is it's difficult trying to swap and find what gun you want to use in the moment. It's so frustrating when you got 4 or 5 things on one scroll wheel and you don't know, flicking up or back, which one is going to give you the gun that you're hoping it is. This has gotten me killed, so this is the fix, okay? Primary weapon, I have lifting forward. So whatever gun is on top in my inventory, I know every time I scroll up that it's going to pull out that gun. Whatever gun is my secondary, every time I scroll down, I know it's going to pull out that gun. It makes it a lot easier for me to predict what gun I'm pulling out, which helps a lot in your gunfights. Now, if you have a sidearm like a pistol or another sidearm as well, you can press 3, which is lifting up with your index finger and just pulling back. All right. Different while sprinting, which sprinting would be holding shift with my pinky and lifting up and pulling back. That'd be free looking. But if I want to just pull out my sidearm, I can lift up and pull back, then pull out my sidearm. Okay. Special equipment. This is going to be used for some of your perks in this game. There's a lot of different perks. It's like a strategic battle royale style game that's similar to PUBG, but it's got a lot of like new age stuff and abilities, which is more on the strategic side. Very different, but I like it a lot. Flicking forward with my ring finger, this is going to be the N, which is what I have it set in my Azeron software and in-game. Flicking forward will activate one of those abilities, and you guys will learn those abilities as you play the game, but that's how you activate one of them. The more extreme ability, I should say, which is like the best ability that you have, it takes a little bit longer to load. You use that by pressing down with your ring finger. So flicking up with it will activate the kind of like middle spec ability, and then the pressing down will activate the most powerful ability that character you have possesses. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. Let's see, throwables. So this is the one here. So guys, instead of just having all, like again, a keyboard, you could have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. You have all these numbers, and you can just have every button pull out a specific type of throwable. It's really not that necessary. I prefer to just be able to just swap through the throwables that I have and really only hold on to the throwables that I plan on using and like to use. So when I press that button on my mouse, which would be with my thumb, that allows me to swap between or rotate between these throwables really easily. Okay. Use active skills. This is the one I was telling you. This is the more powerful ability that I press down on my Azeron, and that's how I use that. Holster weapon is going to be lifting up with my middle finger and pulling back here. Okay. This will be to holster my guns if I want to be able to run. If I need to be able to run faster, I can holster my gun by pulling up and lifting up and pulling back with my middle finger. Cancel skill. So this just stops any healing or any ability or any potion, or not potion, or a pill or anything that you're taking in the moment. This will stop whatever you're doing. So by pressing F, it'll just stop whatever it is. If you've got someone pushing you, you need to quickly cancel a band-aid, you can press that and it'll cancel it. Okay. Change firing mode. This is very seldomly used, but if you're someone that likes to swap between full auto and single fire, I actually have this set up on my little black 5-way or 4-way directional thumbstick that has a push in button, and then I can flick up, down, left, or right. So by pushing in, and you can see that on my Azeron on the top right in the software here, pushing in right here, this changes that to where it's single fire or full auto. Okay, again, I don't really use that, but that's where it is if I need to. Changing throwing stance when I've got a throwable out by just clicking on the right button on my mouse, it'll let me change it from underhand to overhand. If I want to pull the pin on a grenade or something, I can press R, which is the same as reload. Okay, scope in or scope out, or zoom in and zoom out, I should say. When you're ADS'd with like a 4x or 8x, I would assume all the way up to 15, using your up or down on this 4-way directional stick here above my thumbstick. While I'm ADS'd, if I lift up, this would activate what I have set as 6 in-game and in my Azeron software, and pulling back would activate 4, which would be zooming out. So pushing up, zoom it in, pull it back, zoom it out as I'm ADS'd. It makes sense when you have it set that way. Hold my breath is going to be shift. We talked about this earlier. Pulling back, same thing as running. When I'm ADS'd and I'm pulling back with my pinky, right down here as you're looking on my Azeron itself, this activates hold my breath, which is why I added that to my lean left and lean right function again, so that I would be able to hold my breath while leaning to the left. Now healing, this is where I did a couple interesting things. I'll tell you, I put in what we quickly need to be able to have access to while fighting. One thing with fighting is sometimes you need to hit bandages or use what's called a defense energy bar, which helps with during gunfights. Okay, again, you'll learn more about that as you play the game, but those are two things you want to have quick access to without taking away vision of what's going on in your current surroundings. And so I have bandages set as flick forward with my middle finger, as you see on my Azeron. I have that set to J. And then I have consume defense bar. This is flick forward with my pinky finger. Again, this is one that's not going to be used a ton, but in the event that I need to quickly use a defense bar, I can just flick forward with my pinky. Not up, but forward, as you see on my Azeron here. Those are the two main things. Now, I still want to be able to use different like healing things if I need to, right? Or whatever. So this is one thing I want to show you guys. Let me pull this up. So there's a thing called a custom item palette, and when you press, I have it set to Control J, which I'll explain in just a second. It's going to pull up this wheel as you're seeing on the screen, and then you can move your mouse around and click on whatever one of these healing options or pills that you want to take at that time. This is useful to have. It's quick for healing, and I want to make it accessible. But this is how I have that set up. So on my pinky finger, as I lift up and pull back, so my top back button here with my pinky, this is the control button on my Azeron. So let me show you on the Azeron. Control down here in the bottom left, right? This right here controls my this is controls. Now this is going to be used often. This is like a very universal button, which I'll explain how I use here. So when I pull back with control and hold J, which would be what I would use to bandage, right? Which is healing, right? So if I hold control and press J, it's going to pull up this palette wheel that we're seeing right here. And that way I can quickly click something else if I want to use like a first aid kit or an emergency kit or something, right? Or take a different type of healing item. So that's how I do that without having to go into the menu every time. Obviously you can go into the menu if you need to, but that's how I do that. Now, crafting items, this is another thing you guys will learn in this game. One of the objectives is to craft and rank up your items and your gear. You need to have this stuff ranked up pretty well to be pretty successful at winning the game, as most people are doing this. But crafting items is something, it'll show you in the bottom left of your screen, and I'm going to show you guys how we can choose which ones we want to use. First one is... okay, custom palette. Where did I put J here? Craft item, sorry. Okay, so on my Azeron, this one I'll show you guys. Okay, so I have craft item 1 as control 1, craft item 2 control 2, 3 control 3, craft item 4 control 4, 5 6 7 all the way through. Honestly guys, you'll pretty rarely use anything past the 1 and 2, if anything. Mostly it's just craft item 1 that you're going to have one item at a time that you can craft, and you just kind of craft them as you can as you go. So I have that set up here as like a quick item. So as I flick up with my ring finger up at the very top here, as you see on my software, this activates control +1, which, as you see here, crafts item number 1. So if I have something that shows it can be crafted, instead of me pressing control and going over to one of my 1, 2, or 3, which is what I have on the top here, 1, 2, or 3, I can just quickly flick up and it'll automatically craft whatever's showing is available to craft. Then if there's multiple items that I can craft and choose from, then I can come and press control, which is lifting up and pulling back with my pinky. And then as I lift up and pull back with any of my other fingers, this is how it's going to go. Ring finger closest to it will be 1, and then over here 2, and then 3. And if I need the 4, this is where my thumbstick comes in. As I pull down with this top thumbstick here, the 4-way directional, that's 4. Everything's pull back 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's really the only 4 numbers you'll ever need to use ever. Again, 1 and 2 is typically the most. But if I want to not rank up a helmet and I want to rank up my vest first, instead of me flicking up, which would rank up my helmet if it's in the first place, I can lift up, press control here with my pinky, and just lift up and press pull back with my middle finger, which would activate number 2, which would craft the second item, which in that case would be the vest, right? That's kind of how I do this. And you'll see that this is the same way that I use for swapping seats. It's the exact same thing. If I want to swap to first seat, which you'll see in a second, it's the same thing, right? Move seats right here. Control 1, this is going to put me in driver's seat. Control 2, passenger seat. Control 3, it's going to pull me into the back left seat. Control 4, this is going to put me into the, which would be my thumbstick here. This is going to put me in the back right seat. Now I have control over all the seats in a very easy way. I can switch to whatever seat I want in a very simple way, as well as craft whatever item I want to craft in that moment in a very simple way and be able to swap between the two. Okay, that's how I do that. Driving, you need to do this. This is very frustrating with the Azeron. If you do not do this, driving is going to be miserable. Make sure you change your acceleration to your left click and your brake reverse to your right click on your mouse, okay? Keep 80 for turn left and right, but that's how I do that. Brake would be space bar, pull back with my ring finger. Boost is going to be same thing as run, which makes sense, right? Pull back with my pinky. Honk horn is going to be what I would press for reload, which is R. Now, again, we already went through the driver seats. Speak, I just have that set to something random, whatever you want to do there. I use a Go XLR and a foot pedal, just so that's how mine works. Again, make sure you guys are unmapping everything you see on my screen that's unmapped. It's really important so you don't get stuck with doing multiple actions at once, which can screw you up in the game. So make sure you're unmapping everything you see here that's unmapped. We're only mapping what's important, okay? Map right here, I have that lift up with my index finger. This will pull up my map, as you see on my Azeron software. I want to pull up the world map. I don't know exactly what that means yet, but I can lift up with my pinky and then lift up with my map, and that would do so. But typically you're just pulling up your map, which is just lifting up with your index finger. Inventory is lifting all the way up with my middle finger. This is how I use it this is how I use it on Warzone as well, which is the most recent game I came from. And I don't know why that's there. I need to remove that. I don't need that there. Okay. So inventories tab, which is lift up, and that's what I have it set in my Azeron software right here as well. Settings, don't need to worry about that. If you flick out with my thumb, this is my escape as I have set here. As you can see, this escapes anyways, and this makes it to where I can click settings if I need to. Unbind show UI and unbind display control guide. Just unbind them, guys. It's going to throw you off in the long run because all the buttons are different from a keyboard to an Azeron, and it doesn't help you. You got to understand the theories, and you just got to practice the theories, and it'll make sense, guys, on how we have this set up. Remove ping and use smart ping. So flicking directly forward with my index finger activates what I have put as L in game, and on my Azeron, this is using a smart ping. Don't mess with all of this stuff, guys, of all these different types of things, opening up a palette and all this stuff. That takes up time, which gets you killed. Use comms, okay? Ping something, flick it out. If it pings something that's like yellow and you meant to have it be green, as long as you got it in the right direction, you should be able to tell your teammates what's there and why you're pinging it, right? That's what's important, and that's why we have pings. So don't waste time with all of this. I just have flicking forward as set to L to use smart ping. So whatever I'm pointing at, I flick forward with my pointer finger, and it will ping it. If I want to remove that ping, I'm going to lift up and pull back with my pinky, and I'm going to press forward with my index finger. That'll remove the ping. All right, that's if I'm looking at anything. I'll just remove my pings. But if I'm looking specifically at what I marked, I can also look at it and flick forward with my index finger, and it will also remove that ping. Okay, another way to do that, pulling directly back with my index finger agrees to someone's ping. So if I want to like make sure that I go and grab an item, but I'm further away, when they mark it, instead of it going away after a while, I can look at it, press F, pull back with my index finger right, and that would keep it on the mini map for a longer period of time for me to go grab it. Okay. Spectate next player, just have that set on my bumpers on my mouse, left and right. Replays, again, this is just for replaying. So when you're watching replays of kill cams or death, increase or decrease movement speed, use your scroll wheel. Reset the camera movement speed, just click in with the scroll wheel. Play pause, I have that set at shift, so my pinky pullback would be play pause. If I want a free camera, just like in the game, when I want a free look over my shoulder, is pulling back with my pinky shift and lifting up and pulling back with my index finger, which is 3. It's going to be the same thing here. I lift up, push both of these, and now I can free camera it while I'm in the replay. And oh, these are ones that I forgot to change. Increase, now that's at 7. Decrease, apply those 2. Okay, so if I want to increase, if I want to return to recorded player, I can just click in with my 4-way directional here, increase playback speed. That's 7, which is flick over to the right with my little 4-way directional stick here. Decrease the playback speed, I can go over to the left to slow it down. Move to the beginning, it's tab, I just flick up. Okay, that's tab. Move to the end is M, which is flicking up here. Follow player, first person or single, or a third person, just same thing with right button on your mouse. Turn stuff off and do these things. Again, this stuff's kind of like pointless, but it's the same concept as how we would use it in the game. You guys can mess with that. Once you understand that lift up and pull back, that's control. And these are 1, 2, and 3. By lifting up and pulling back, it just allows you to turn a lot of these things on and off. And that's kind of how we use it throughout the game. All right. This is how I have it set up. Now that I've explained how I play and how this works. Okay. Now let me just go through again and just give you guys a quick walkthrough on how this maps. I want you guys to map it exactly like this in game. As we've gone through, go through and map everything in game exactly as you see on my screen. And now I'm going to make the Azeron software itself a little bigger. It's hard because as big as I make this, it actually doesn't matter. It's still going to keep the same size tabs, but I have these pulled up and I'm just going to go through beginning to end on these on the Azeron. So go in and bind this exactly how it shows on the Azeron, which is starting with the we'll go from the top row here, lifting all the way up. This is Alt, so program that one to Alt. Click keyboard, type Alt on your keyboard, press accept. Next one over is Control +1. Remember, this is where we quickly can build an item. Okay, this is going to be Control +1. So all you do is press and hold Control and then press 1 on your keyboard, and then you go and click accept, and it'll look just like this. Next one over is Tab, lifting up. So click this one. That one would be Tab. This is the very top. Then going down, this one is X. So flicking forward with my pinky is X. Next one over is N. Flicking forward with my ring finger is N. Next one over, flicking forward with my middle finger is J. Index finger flicking forward is L. Then on the outside, this one where you need to hold down Shift on your keyboard and then press Q, and it'll look just like this. You want it to be Shift plus Q and click accept. We don't have anything bound on pushing pinky down. Pushing ring finger down, we have this set to G. Click accept. Next one over, pushing your middle finger down, I have this set at Z. Pushing your index finger down, I have this set at R. Flicking your index finger over to the right, I have that at Shift plus E. So same thing, hold down Shift, press E, then you can click accept. It'll look Shift plus E. It'll look just like this. And now on our pullbacks with the pinky, this is Shift right here. Pull back with my index finger, this is space. Pull back with my middle finger, this is C for crouch. Pull back with my index finger, this is F. Now lifting up and pulling back is again Control for the pinky. Next one over, lifting up and pulling back is 1 for the ring finger. Lifting up and pulling back with the middle finger is set at 2. Lifting up and pulling back with the pointer finger or index finger is 3, and accept. Now up to our 4-way directional stick. Pulling down with that is set to 4. Pulling to the side with this is set to 5. Lifting up with it is 6. Over to the right is 7. And then pushing in the click is set to B, as in boy. Okay. The last thing you'll change before we get into the thumbstick, and I'll explain what I have, is flicking out with your thumb. This tab is set to escape. All right. Now, some of the things that I would say to also do with your Azeron that are really important when you go into the settings tab, which is here on the bottom. Let me move it over just a little bit more so you can see the settings here. You want to make sure that you have button throttling all the way down. Okay, just turn that at 0. Make sure you guys calibrate your analog joystick and take the time to do that. And when you go into your once you calibrate this and it gives you this information here, essentially what you're going to do with the center offset with these is you're going to go into your map that you have, which I've set as Super People, and when you click on your thumbstick, you'll put it in here like so. I run the Xbox 360 analog stick and keyboard. My angle's set at 84. This is all dependent on how you guys like to play. What I would tell you to make sure of, though, is this is essentially what angle you're making directly forward. Make sure as you change this, you always press accept, okay, and then see where this goes. If you change it if you just change it right here in this, okay, and then moving forward, you want to make sure you accept it or it won't actually make that change, okay, is what I'm getting at. You need to make sure you press accept, otherwise it won't make the change. I use the metal ring that comes with the Azeron Cyborgs now, which allows you to have a shorter distance of travel with your thumbstick. So this is how I have mine set up. I believe you'd want to have it exactly the same if you're using the metal ring. Lower dead zone at 2, upper dead zone at 120. If you're not using the ring, this is where you'd want to implement those numbers you got in your calibration earlier in your settings menu. Sensitivity, I think 2 or 3 is going to be the best for this. I put it at 3. I think that's personally where I like it. But this allows you to, again, to kind of control the strength of how fast you're pressing the direction of forward, left, right or back, the WASD, right? Being able to walk or crouch slowly when I want to, or faster also when I want to. This is what allows you to do that. So I have it set that way, and I have that, and then accept it. I would copy this as a profile, which I've already done here, and just make sure you save this as onboard memory as 1, or whatever you have it set at. That's what I do. This is how mine's set up, guys. Tell me what you think as you play this game. I think this is the best way to do this, to simplify the transition. Hopefully this did that for you, being able to use your Azeron Cyborg now over with Super People. The last thing I'll tell you guys is that this is specific to the Azeron Cyborg, which is their latest Azeron model. If you guys haven't seen it already, go to azeron.eu and you can use promo code Filthy Saint for an additional 5% discount off your purchase. But this is the latest and greatest model that they have. It has additional buttons. The lift up and pull back buttons are all new, and the flicking out with your pinky to the side is also a new button. So it's worth it, in my opinion, to have access to those. But again, this is up to you guys. But this is specifically designed with this in mind, that it's an Azeron Cyborg. So until the next time, guys, appreciate you. You can check me out on Facebook at fb.gg/filthysainttv. Until the next time, peace.